without a glitch. So guys, we're back for our first episode of Q&A for the new year. Happy New Year to everyone. We're going to be starting this episode up in a couple of minutes. And if you're here early morning or late afternoon for the rest of the world, I'd love you to say hi in the comments. Let us know that you're here. We're going to be answering questions that we've collected the last 2 weeks from our client group. So if you've got fresh questions that you want to ask, well, that's what I'm here for. I love answering these questions. Q&A is one of my favorite things of the week because we can actually just clear off a bunch of stuff that's been kind of pondering over the course of the last week and get it done, answer the questions, and help give you guys the value. So guys, good morning. I hope you had a lovely start to the day. I'm going to send out the message that we are live across the interweb, commenting in the comments. Hey, Kate. Hey, Peter. All right. At everyone, we are live. All right. Are we live? Guys, sorry about that little glitch. I'm not really sure, but sometimes Facebook just plays silly buggers with us and it doesn't let us kick off the live, which is just frustrating. It happens every now and then. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all repping your Better Body Academy outfits this morning. I know I've seen a lot of them in the gym, all the merch. Even though it's an absolute pain in the ass to get done, it feels so good when you guys are actually repping that stuff. My God, you guys look good. All right, let me say hello to everyone before we kick this off. G'day, Sydney. What's going on? Kobe's in the house. Brendo's back with ferocity. What's going on, Brendo? Hello, Tez. What's going on, my man? We got all the girls coming in as well. Hey, Caroline. Hey, Lyndall. Leandra's in here. Hey, Leandra. I love when you come and join these lives, Leandra. Guys, we're going to start this one up in 1 minute. So, team, just letting you know that if you are on the east coast of Australia, I'm going to put a post later today about the weekend's activities. We're going to be meeting up for a stomp. Basically, the lunch, we only have 2 spots left. So after I put that post up yesterday, if you're thinking about coming, you better send me an inbox because we've literally got 2 spots left. That's it. And we're sold out completely. So that's going to be awesome. We're going to have 40 people together at Terrigal, which is going to be absolutely beautiful. It's a sun-bathed day coming up. Good morning, Zez. I hope you're good. Hey, Susan. Hey, Michelle. Lynn's I'm desperately needing how to get into the podcast, not tech savvy. Hey, the podcast is on Thursday, I think it is, Lynn. You'll just check the top of the group, but you got a few days. All you need to do is just click the exact same thing you did here. Okay, guys, so here's what we're going to do in this episode. You just come in and you ask any questions, and these questions can pertain to mindset, they can pertain to nutrition, they can pertain to anything that you want in your fitness journey that you feel might give you a little bit of a nudge in the right way to help get you going again. So we've collected a bunch of questions. We're going to answer those questions, but I prioritize live questions. So if you have questions that you want to ask, please just ask them in the comments and I'll try to keep a little bit of an eye on the comments as we're going through this one, okay? Sound good? All right, let's get stuck into another episode of Q&A. I feel like I'm eating pretty well. Why isn't the scale moving? Who feels that one? Hey guys, who feels that one? I feel like I'm eating pretty well, but the scale is not moving. The kind of analogy that I have with weight loss is sometimes, guys, it feels like a little bit of a tug of war, right? What we want it to look like is, okay, I eat well for 2 or 3 days. Why am I not losing weight? That's what we think to ourselves, right? But it just doesn't work like that. It takes a long time for us to make sure that we're in that tug of war with our body. You know, if you do a really, really aggressive calorie cut, yes, you will probably lose weight quicker. But the problem will be if you do that aggressive calorie cut, you're not going to be able to keep it up. And usually the end result is it bounces back with weight gain. Okay? So you want to think of it a little bit like a tug of war. This is why being consistent is so much more important than being intense. Okay? We don't need to be doing these crazy calorie deficits in order to get results. Instead, we need to be consistent. So when people say, I feel like I'm eating pretty well, why isn't the scale moving? If it's not something that they're not accounting for, like, for example, they're building muscle or they're more hydrated, if it's literally they're just not losing fat, what's going on? Usually they are eating well. But when they're eating well, they're also adding in little bits of very high calorie food that they don't even know that they're eating. Does this make sense? They don't even know that they're eating. And this is why you've got to understand why tracking your nutrition is really, really important for a short period of time, not forever, so that you can actually get a handle on your eating. Does this make sense, guys? Hopefully that answers that question. Now, if you've got any live questions, like I said, you can ask them into the comments and I will try to answer them as we are going along. Aviz says, best drink for fat loss. There is no drinks that cause fat loss. This is something that a lot of people think. They think that if they do X, if they eat a certain food, they will lose weight. Just for the record, guys, that doesn't happen. There's no food that causes fat loss. There is food and drinks. Some are high in calories, some are low in calories. What determines whether you lose weight is the totality of all that, the sum of all that over the course of a day. It's not one food. In terms of the best drinks, well, obviously you don't want to be having a bunch of liquid calories, right? So the drinks that you want to look out for to try to eliminate are going to be the ones like high-fat dairy. They're going to be sodas, alcohol, high-sugar cordial. It's the things that contain a lot of sugar or a lot of fat. That's what you want to try to eliminate. And given that you can just have diet versions of all of those things, you can have skim milk, you can have sugar-free soda. It makes no sense to me why people still drink normal Coke. It makes no sense at all to me. Okay, so I'm going to read Kobe's question. If I have done about 6 weeks of my exercise program, home program, to increase my effort, is it easy as increasing the weight and the reps? That's a very good question, Kobe. So Kobe's talking about a concept called progressive overload. Kobe, the only way you progress, the only way you're going to continue to get more and more results is if over time you are progressively overloading what you're doing. And there are a number of different ways that you can progressively overload Cobes. You can decrease rest time. I'm not a huge fan of that one. I like to see, particularly with women, increases in weight, okay? This can be an increase in reps, but for me, what I would like to see, let's just pretend, let's give you an example, Kobe, so it makes sense. Let's pretend we're talking about a squat. Let's say that you can do a 20-kilo squat and you can do 8 repetitions of it right now. Well, what you want to do is before you start adding a bunch of weight to that squat, you want to try to knock your reps up to, say, 9 or 10 repetitions, 11 repetitions, but not too much more than that, because then that's a signal that you're getting stronger. So what I would want to do then is I would want to then go, okay, cool. I've got my reps up by 2 or 3. Now I'm going to add weight. Now I'm going to focus on trying to get stronger at that weight. Then I'm going to add more repetitions. Does this make sense? So you're kind of toggling between the two. At least at the beginning, that's the way I would proceed with this. Okay, that's a really good question, Kobe, and let me know if that answers it. And if not, we can go over it with you on a coaching call. Okay, so Connell says, you feel like you're eating well, or are you eating well? Big difference. That's a really good comment, actually. You feel like you're eating well, or are you eating well? There's a very big difference. A lot of people kind of like, why am I not getting results? They're kind of guesswork, right? That's a really good comment. I feel like I'm eating well versus what am I actually doing? Weight loss is going to come down to the numbers. If the numbers are right, you will lose weight. It's a fact. Now, a lot of people, for example, girls that are in menopause or perimenopause are going to say, oh yeah, but it gets harder during. There's no disagreement there. There's no disagreement there. It does get harder, but it still comes down to the numbers. It still comes down to the numbers. So if you are guessing, it's a real frustration. All right, what else have we got in here, guys? Going to keep looking at the questions. What are the best meals to batch cook and freeze to reduce diabetes? Okay, good question, Aiden. I personally don't batch cook stuff. Now, that might be because I have more time at home, maybe, because my wife cooks mostly, maybe. What you want to do is, I don't know, for me, batch cooking and a whole bunch of meal prep, I don't need to do that because I know what to make really, really quickly. And for me, the simplest things that I do is a salad with some carbohydrate that's in a packet, like rice or pasta or a simple potato, nothing big. I don't eat a whole bunch of carbs with most meals. And then I just throw on some type of meat, and it's usually some grilled meat. This takes like 10 minutes to prepare. My meals generally take 10 to 15 minutes to prepare. The good thing about eating if you've got diabetes is the cure for diabetes. Well, you can't cure diabetes, but you can reduce the impact of it. The way you do that is by losing weight. It's the thing that's going to help your insulin resistance the most. So we've got to get your weight down. So what that means is that what is good for all of you, my clients who have diabetes and who don't have diabetes, the strategy is the same. We've got to get the weight off you. If we can get the weight off you, your diabetes and your insulin resistance will improve. Out of sight. Good morning to all of our beautiful girls coming into this one. Let's have a look if there is any other questions coming from our client group. Guys, if you want to ask anything, please do so. Kylie says, why is it that we only take measurements from hip and waist? Other programs take chest, arm, and thigh. Is it to do with hip to waist ratio as a health indicator? Kylie, you're such a smart girl. Yeah, so the long story short of it is that, to my knowledge, we can't deduce a hell of a lot of overall health risk by measuring your arm fat, right? The other thing about it is that if you see changes in your arm, as an example, I think that's what you said, yeah, chest, arm, etc. You could literally, it could just be that you're putting on muscle or you've got some inflammation. There's a lot that can be to do with. And the same is true in hips and waist, but why we take hips and waist is because it is majorly correlated with your risk of heart issues, okay? Your risk of diabetes. The other thing about it is that when we're talking, let's talk separately about your waist and your hip. We don't measure hip for men. We only measure hip for women. And that's particularly because premenopausal women will lose most of the fat off their hips, typically before they lose it off their belly, okay? So why would we measure these? Well, we want to get a sense of where the changes are happening. And in the waist, for example, there's an easy target for most people, and it's our belly button. So it's pretty easy to say to someone, hey, set a tape parallel to the ground around your belly button and just do that every week. When people are measuring things like their arm, their chest, it's a lot harder because you're just not like just going like this. Like trying to measure your arm is actually quite difficult. So when you do these measurements, there is this bias that comes in, and I'm sure you guys have felt it when you're doing your waist measurements, right? You might just like squeeze it in a little bit. Like these measurements in and of themselves are only indications. They're only, you shouldn't look at one measurement on its own, right? So for me, Kylie, another example would be, why don't we go deep into macros in our base program? Well, because there's not really a point. People talk about macros and they don't even know what macros are. They don't even know what the word macro stands for. So instead, we teach getting your calories right and slotting your protein, and the rest don't actually matter. So going back to your waist circumference question, like, yes, we could take measurements on chest and arm and thigh. And let me ask you girls and guys, if you had to take 7 measurements every single week, would you do it? I probably wouldn't. In fact, I never have. I look good. I take my waist measurement because it's very, very easy. Busy parents like you guys generally want things to be simple. And I wouldn't think that for most people a more is better approach is good, Carls. Does that make sense? So I certainly wouldn't measure 7 things. It's hard enough to get people to measure the scales and measure their waist and waist circumference. Yeah, a couple I knows in the comments. Yeah, it just wouldn't get done. But if you're an information-driven person, there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't do that, Kylie. And if you're more data is better person, absolutely get it done. No problems at all. By the way, guys, I'm super freaking stoked because Wayne Wallace and Pascal's flying all the way from Tasmania this weekend up to Sydney to come and join the weekend lunch. That's so sick, Pascal. I can't wait to see you, brother. Guys, if you have any questions, you can ask them into the comments. So Adzi says, I have psoriasis and when I work out, I hurt everywhere. What do you recommend as I'm only trying to tone up? Adzi, I know my limitations, brother. I am not an expert in psoriasis. My understanding is there's going to be an aggravation of your skin when you're in contact potentially with padding and machines and the like. What do you recommend as I'm only trying to tone up? So let's instead talk about the concept of toning up. What is toning up? Toning up just means building muscle while losing fat. People think it's something like very unique. Toning up means building muscle and losing body fat. And when people use the word tone, what they're inferring is that they just don't want to get bulky, which also means building muscle and losing fat. So the way that you train for tone is the same way that you train to build muscle and lose fat. There's no difference. What I would be starting with, ads, would be your eating more than anything. Eating and walking. I would focus on those 2 things to start, and then we get a bit more granular. Guys, if you want to ask any questions, please let me know in the comments, and I'm here to answer those questions. I'll just do a quick look over the client group. Guys, if you want to ask anything, now's the time. I'm here all for the next hour. Okay, so let's have a look over into Instagram. I'm a liver donor 2020, but my mid-2022, I started junk food, and now all my weight is very much 115 kilos. Please help me. Yep, that's what happens when you plow yourself with junk food. It's a tough one, man. Guys, questions in the comments. What have we got? Any live questions? How can I control myself? Stop drinking energy drinks. Yeah, it's a really good question, actually. I had a good conversation with Coach Carly the other day, and she'd kind of picked up a can of what are the white energy drinks called? I can't remember what they're called. Starts with O, I think. Anyway, she picked them up and she was like, we checked out what's the difference in the caffeine content between the energy drink and a coffee, right? And we worked out that the energy drink here in Australia, I believe the caffeine content must be capped, because it worked out that the energy drink contained about 2 teaspoons, the equivalent of 2 teaspoons of instant coffee. And she said to me, she goes, I can see how you could get really hooked on energy drinks because it's enough of a buzz that it's kind of like, oh yeah, you get a good pep, and then 2 or 3 hours later when you're feeling a bit tired, you just have another one and another one. So I could see how that could add up. I personally drink like 5 to 6 coffees a day, and I use mostly like table instant coffee, right? I don't really care. People say, oh, that's bad. Okay, cool. Well, don't drink it. Do I have a problem? I don't think so. I don't think caffeine across the literature is been shown to be helpful in nearly everything from fat loss to hunger suppression. I don't see a problem with it, but when you're starting to smash energy drinks, which are like, think of it almost like if you're having 3 or 4 energy drinks a day, it's like 3 or 4 coffees in each one. And then that's like I don't know, 12 to 15 coffees, instant coffees, that would feel uncomfortable for me, and my heart would be beating out. So how do you get off it? I don't actually know the answer to that. Has anyone had any help with this? So Christina says there are the white monsters that are sugar free, if that's what you're thinking of. Yeah, it's not the monsters, CC. They're called like something starting with O. I don't know how to get off them. I honestly don't know because I've never had to get on them. Guys, can anyone give me any tips in the comments? How would you do it? How would you do it? How would you get off energy drinks? I would think that, like most things, there's going to be a massive withdrawal period. Look, it's the same as coffee. It's caffeine, right? So there's going to be a massive withdrawal period, and you just got to get through that withdrawal period. I've almost thought of like, yeah, so Susan says try diluting in increments. I think that's a really good, smart idea, which would be if you're having 3 a day, trying to knock it back to 2 a day, trying to knock it back to 1 a day. What are the other issues? If you do have issues with your weight and you're drinking a bunch of energy drinks, the problem with that is going to be that you are having a bunch of sugar as well, unless they're the sugar-free versions, right? So it's really problematic for your weight. Okay, I'm going to go to Yana's question, and instantly this looks like a good question. What should I do when I get to 8 p.m. and I am still hungry? I've tracked that I've had my 1,800 calories and 150 grams of protein for the day and 2 liters of water. Is this where I should suck it up and just drink more water? Is my body meant to be a bit hungry on a deficit, or should I just accept that hunger feeling? Yana, what a great question. Well done on asking the question, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel this. So the short answer is the way you lose weight is that you are running out of energy. You are going into your energy reserves. That's how you lose weight. So at certain periods of time during the day, it is completely normal that you will be hungry. You should, however, not be ravenous. If you are eating 150 grams of protein, and that's mainly through whole foods, okay? Now, I'm not saying protein powder is bad, but it just won't have the same satiating effect as food protein, okay? So if you're eating 1,800 calories and 150 grams of protein for the day and drinking 2 liters of water, and you're feeling hungry at night, well, there are a few things that I would say there. Number one, are you fasting? Are you having all your calories at the front end of the day? Because you might need to start spreading your calories over a longer period of the day. The second thing is, are you hitting that protein target with a lot of protein powder? Again, not problematic, except that it doesn't have the same satiating effect. But more likely, Yana, are you highly active? Are you decently carrying a bit of extra weight? So the reason I'm asking those questions is to try to troubleshoot why you're so hungry. Is that for you, if, for example, I haven't got your account up with me at the moment, but let's just say you're 100 kilos and your goal weight would be closer to 80 kilos, just as an example. Well, then you could still be losing weight at less of a deficit. So what I mean by that is we could bump you up to 2,000, 2,100 calories, and you might be like, oh, I don't want to do that. Well, the reality is you've got to be able to maintain the consistency at whatever target that we set in order to continue to get that. So if you constantly feel like you're at 1,800 calories, but you're binging at nighttime, well, then you're not at 1,800 calories anymore. If you're not losing weight, then you're not in the calorie deficit that you think you are, okay? My gut instinct, knowing and having coached so many people, is that what you're feeling at night, there is going to be some hunger, but a lot of it is to do with emotion, stress, and boredom. Girls and guys, do you feel that? Right? emotion, stress, and boredom. When you're sitting there, let's just pretend that for the last 5 years, your routine has been, I get to the end of the night, I sit down on the chair with my husband and we watch TV once the kids are in bed. I'm just painting a situation. The kids are in bed and I'm going to sit here and just do the thing that I always do, which is pick up some snacks. All of a sudden, when you stop doing that, there's a void, right? So you're kind of like, whoa, what do I do now? That's the issue. That's the issue. It's because it's become a routine for you to do that. So it's going to feel like emotionally you are still very hungry. This is the part that not many people talk about, is that like losing weight is simple. It's so simple, but it's hard. It's difficult because of the mental games. Does this make sense? Like this is totally it. Let's read the comments. I'm hungry but not ravenous. What you can do, Jans, is have some, okay, I've got a tip for you that I want you to try, right? Diet soda at night when you're hungry, right? So whenever I go through a cut, I get hungry. It's completely normal. This is the reason why most people regain weight. What your body might be just craving for is that feeling of sugar, but it doesn't have to be sugar. It can be sweetness without being sugar. So what I would personally do is have a Diet Coke. Does it make sense? Have a Diet Coke or some sugar-free jelly or something like some berries. Berries are a master food. You can have this massive handful of either blueberries or strawberries that are just like so low in calories, and combined with a big glass of water or a Diet Coke, you literally could have a can of Diet Coke and a handful of raspberries and strawberries, and it will be 100 calories. And it will take your calorie deficit from your calorie target from 18 to 1900. And likely that really won't make too much of a difference at all. Does that make sense? So there's probably a little bit of habit, stress, boredom, patterns to try to break here, but make it a little bit easier on yourself by having a can of Diet Coke or half a can of Diet Coke with a handful of strawberries or raspberries or blueberries. That's the strategy that I would take. I find that it's what I eat makes a huge difference. Bulk foods make a huge difference, Tina says. Yeah, that is bang on. This is the reason why I think, like, people say, is there any problem with protein powder? No, there's not. But you really do want to try to fill up mostly on whole foods so you get the satiating effect. Does that make sense? And we can talk about this more, Jans, on coaching calls as well, because they're starting back up again this week. Bede says, I always try to fit in yogurt with protein powder as my dinner, after my dinner as a dessert, helps my cravings. That's bang on. Bede's bang on the number. I have dessert every single night, right? Kaz is saying the same thing. I keep some calories in my bank for after dinner. Does that make sense? I think these are really, really good tips that you're getting here, because what you want to be doing, if you've had all your calories at like 6, 7 o'clock, and then you naturally sit down into that relaxation mode and you don't have any calories left, you're kind of like white knuckling it, right? Low fat, like if you like Greek yogurt, one of those big ass tubs of low fat Greek yogurt is 100 calories and it's all protein, like really good for your gut. That's the way that I would go. Okay, I saw a question from Kylie. Some of the lovely ladies have been mentioning their specific coach. Are we assigned a specific coach, or do we have all the wonderful coaches start of week 4 and started over a busy Christmas? Yeah, so what we do, Kyles, that's a really good question, and probably lending to your message yesterday. So what we actually do is we don't want to put you on the grind for your first 3 to 4 weeks. We just want you to slowly get into the groove. Now, particularly during the Christmas period when we have a little bit of a break. Once that Christmas period is now over, what we do is at about week 4, we'll reach out to you and say, do you feel like you're ready to graduate your onboarding? And at that point then, that's when we actually assign you a support coach. So on the front end, we do all the coaching calls, all the lives, all the podcasts are done by the head coaches. In addition to that, on the back end, we give you a support coach, and their job is to absolutely make sure that you're doing your check-ins, stay in constant contact with you, so it kind of crunch you from both ends, which is really cool because in a lot of programs, what they'll do is the only way that you can talk to anyone is via email. And I don't know, that kind of sucks in my opinion. All right, guys, looking across the board at any other questions. All right, so Kobe says, how does 6 kilometers on the rowing machine compare to a 6 kilometer walk? From a calorie burn perspective, a lot more, particularly if you're doing it intensively. So let's just pretend a person comes to me, Kobe, and says, oh, I need to lose a bunch of weight. Should I do the rowing machine? My answer to that would be no, mostly because you don't need to do it. But if you want to remain functional and you want to burn some extra calories before you drop your nutrition calories, and if it feels like it's sustainable for you and you can keep it up and you don't fucking hate your life when you're doing it, well then, yeah, absolutely. Rowing is a great idea. Any additional cardio is a good idea. But what most people do is they overdo it. And when they overdo it, they can't keep it up. They get sore, they get injured, they can't keep it up, they quit. Then they feel like a failure. It's like too much too quickly. If you listen to my live yesterday, it's too much too quickly, right? So Kobe, my question to you would be, do you need to do this right now? Are you trying to like punish yourself for any Christmas hangover that you kind of had with your food? If not, then cool, no problems at all. Yeah, working in some rowing is a good idea. How does it compare to a 6 kilometer walk? 6 kilometers is 6 kilometers. It's like what weighs more out of a kilo of fat and a kilo of muscle? They weigh the same. Does this make sense? But which one's better or more exerting? It depends on what you're trying to achieve. Which one's less intense? Which one's easier to do? Walking. Which one burns more calories? Rowing. Okay, good question, girlfriend. Okay, any other questions coming in? Yogurt and jelly is great, or pancake bites. Yeah, sugar-free jelly is the bee's knees. Like you could literally have this like massive plate of sugar-free jelly and it's like, it's still nothing. Okay, guys, keep the questions coming through if you have anything that you want to ask. All right, let's just have a look. All right, so we've got these fools in our stream. Let's get rid of that bloke. Confirm. Okay, glad to catch you live. No worries at all. If there's any other questions, guys, that you want to ask. Okay, so who is this handsome man? Thank you. No, I felt like I had to measure it consistently to make me very sad. Yeah, referring to all of the different measurements that you'd have to do. Yeah, for sure. Okay, clients, do you have any other questions that you want to ask before we finish this one up? I've got a couple in the bank here that I want to go over. Do you actually need to track calories, or can you lose weight without it? Yeah, this is the thing. As we've become more savvy at actually ways that we can get more measurements, and kind of going back to your point earlier, Kyles, like if you can't track your steps, did you do the steps? Of course you did the steps. You still did them, right? The fact that you can't track them doesn't mean that you didn't do them. You didn't get the benefit, right? Having said this, we do definitely think that tracking is a way to keep yourself accountable, because if you want to look at your outcomes and you're like, oh man, I'm not losing weight at the moment. Well, you want to understand why you're not losing weight. And if you're not losing weight, or you are losing weight, or you're getting stronger, or you're not getting stronger, you want to know why that's happening. And the only way that we can help you as a coach is to go, well, let's look at what you're doing, right? So this is why we do these trackings of things like your workouts and your steps. Does this make sense? Kylie, again, it looks like 3 coaching calls. Do you need to do just one? Totally up to you, Kyles. The reason we have 3 coaching calls each week in each group, men and women, is because we try to give 3 different time zones. Those 3 different time zones are Sydney, New York, and London, 8 p.m. So what we do is we anchor, whenever the time zones change, that's what we do. So the short answer is you've got 3 different options over the course of a week, which are really, really easy to join. Do you need to do all of them? 100% no, definitely not. I would suggest just like come and join 1 a week. You don't need to pre-book it. You just come and join in at the right time. Click 1 minute before it, come and join in, be part of it, ask any questions that you've got and speak directly to your coaches. So you don't need to do all 3, no. Susan says, recovery, what to do, stretching. I get really sore sometimes. Yeah, so when it comes to stretching, recovery, no, painkillers are not part of it. No, they're not, Suze. What you want to be thinking is, you want to be thinking about, okay, am I warming up enough? I'm going to be honest, I'm really bad at warming up personally. I just prefer to get straight into it, and because I don't want to be wasting my time. So that comes with a little bit of soreness. Soreness, but not injury. The things that I would be thinking about for recovery are going to be, okay, am I hydrated enough? Like, again, this is something that I need to work on because I drink so much coffee, but you will be surprised how much better your joints and your muscles feel when you are over-hydrating. One of the girls mentioned earlier on 2 liters of water a day. Like, that's good, but it's not over-hydration. You could literally be smashing 3 or 4 liters a day, and that's going to help with your hunger, and it's going to help with your recovery. Number 2, Suze, is your protein intake up over that 100 grams a day? When you are breaking down muscle in the gym, you are going to need to replenish that. And if you don't have the building blocks coming in, you're just breaking down muscle and you're not replacing it. You're not building it back up again. So we definitely want to do that. There could be some vitamin or mineral deficiencies, but in most cases, it's probably just that you're pushing hard, perhaps newer to exercise, right? So you could back off the intensity a little bit, because if it's interrupting your ability to train consistently, that's a problem, okay? The last thing that I would say, Susie, is space your workouts out a little bit. So rather than having, if it's possible, right? For example, let's just say you're training 3 days a week, put as much as you can, have a day off in between, and try to walk as much as possible, because walking will circulate that blood and stop the waste products from pooling in the muscles. So if you're getting enough water, like for example, what a lot of people will do, and I'm guilty of this, is I'll do my 10,000 steps most mornings, and then I will do a workout, and then I will basically sit for 8 to 10 hours. And when you're doing that, all the waste products and the kind of fluids are just pooling, and that's where the pain gets. You're not getting movement in those muscles. Does that make sense, mate? Caroline asks, is it only the coaching call on Zoom and the rest are live on Facebook? That's correct. Yeah, so Caroline, so that's because the Zoom is an interactive thing, right? So we get together and we talk and ask questions and whatever you want to do. But what we do with mobility, Q&A, and the podcast is it's a live stream into the group. Yep, that's correct. You got it, girlfriend. I only do one as my work schedule. You don't need to do more than 1 coaching call a week. You kind of like, once you start to do that, it's almost like, I don't know, you don't want to create dependency. You want to come in, ask your questions, and then you want to say, what do I need to know? What's going to help me get unstuck? Connect to a few of the other guys and girls, and you're good to go. Does that make sense? Okay, guys, as we're getting to the end of this, I'll just check across to see if we've got any other outstanding questions. Helen says, can drinking tea count towards water intake? Yes, absolutely it can. And it does, particularly if you're not stuffing your tea with sugar and full-fat milk. Yes, it absolutely does. In fact, like my opinion on this is that this is why I'm not critical of my own coffee consumption, is like, let's just say I drink 5 or 6 of these a day. Like, remember what this is. If it's instant coffee, it's a teaspoon of instant coffee and then a cup of hot water and tiny little bit of skim milk. Like, of course that it is contributing to your water intake. Where it becomes a problem is like if it's just so much caffeine or so much sugar or so much milk that it's actually becoming more sugar and caffeine and milk than it is actually water, that's a problem. So I don't see any reason why tea cannot count. Absolutely. Any other questions? Oh my gosh, this fool in our live. Sorry, guys. What should be the calorie deficit? Aditya, that's going to totally depend on your individual circumstances, my friend. Margaret says, is it not good to do your workouts at night? Is it not good to do your workouts at night than if you pretty much go to bed? No, look, again, Margaret, our coaching will always point to, hey, you know what? Anytime you can work out in a busy parent schedule, that's fine. But it's pretty clear that the closer you work out to bed, probably the less likely you're going to sleep well. Now, again, context matters. Individual differences are important. But if you're going to bed, an hour to 2 after a workout, part of working out is that you're going to release cortisol and you're going to release adrenaline, and that's why you feel good after the workout. But it's likely not going to send you to sleep. It's going to keep you awake. The other thing is that I would like, okay, so if we were talking about a purely practical perspective or a science-based perspective, is there a difference between you working out in the morning or the night? Does that matter? No. But do the workout. But if we want to get like specific on guidance, I think that it's much better to try to work out earlier in the morning for a few reasons. Number one, it's going to help with the management of your hunger. Okay. Number two, it's going to not stimulate you before you go to bed. 3, in the recovery period of the 8 to 10 hours that come out of that, after that workout, you're going to actually be walking around and moving rather than just doing the workout and then just lying flat for 8 hours. The 4th thing, which is the most important thing for me, is that I would just struggle to do it. It's just so hard at the end of the day, especially if you've got kids, to do everything you've got to do and then try to work out. I think that this is where it falls off the cliff for most busy parents. So yes, okay, in some circumstances, we had one of our greatest ever clients, Linda. She trained at like 10 o'clock at night every night. That worked for her. So in that circumstance, I'd say go for it. But for the average person, I do definitely think that the earlier you can do it in the day, the better it's going to be for so many different things. But again, that's not to say it's bad. Resistance bands, can we get heavier ones? I'm doing 15 to 20 reps on some exercises. Yes, Tina, you absolutely can. It's not 8 exercises. Exactly, Suze, yep. Yes, what I would be doing here, Tina, is I would be going to Amazon and simply looking. There is absolutely, and I know that you're extremely strong, Tina, but there is resistance bands that is more than plenty for me. So I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to find resistance bands. So they generally come in like 5-band packs. I like the ones personally, Tina, with the handles because they're more versatile rather than just the big elastic band, right? But you can absolutely get heavier ones, including those with the bands. And they usually come in a 5-band pack and you can clip the handle onto the end of each one. In fact, I was just talking to Cordia yesterday, and as soon as we leave Mum's house here, we're going to be on the road for 3 or 4 weeks. I'm not going to have a gym. So it's either I pay casual rates at like $25 a drop in, or I get some, for me, I'm going to get some resistance bands and just a $35 pack of resistance bands and just do a bunch of workouts. And the good thing about resistance bands is once you get comfortable with the types of the variants of all the exercises you can literally just do them for 15 minutes and stop. And then 4 hours later, do another 15 minutes and stop. So for busy parents, that's extremely practical because who here just can't find 45 minutes or an hour block in a day to train. If that's you, then resistance bands are amazing. You can do 10 minutes, 15 minutes, a little micro workout, and then you do it again 4 hours later, and then do it again 4 hours later. And so you're batching them in like 10 to 15 minute blocks. I think that's a very, very good idea. Paul says Amazon have the handles on sale right now. Paul, if you want to shoot a link across to me, I can pop it up on the groups if it's worth sharing there, brother. Yeah, fantastic. So team, I think we're at a little bit of an end here. I've got a few more, but we've got to get off and run a kickoff call now. So with a group of beautiful girls and guys. Hopefully this has been helpful, guys. We do this every week at the same time, and we are back full tilt now. By the way, if you are new to this, new to BBA, new to the news, just letting you know that if you are on the East Coast, around the Sydney, Central Coast, Newcastle surrounds, we're going to be doing a big meetup this weekend. We've already got a lunch that's pretty much sold out, bar 2 spots. So if you want to grab the last 2 spots, you can. But otherwise, catch up with you guys soon. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Love so much seeing you all in your merch. Looking absolutely mint, by the way, guys. And we'll catch up with you soon. Peace out. Love and protein.